Lights are on. Any moment now they will go out and the race will get underway for 40 minutes in this calm all Porsche trophy race. Lights have gone out and the cars streak off up to the right-hander at Redgate corner for the first time. Lots of spray, although probably not as much as there might have been a little bit earlier on, because the rain has abated now here at Donington Park. And from pole position, I think it was Allen that made the best of the starts and is heading down the hill, down through the Craner curves for the first time, and it's, I think, Grant Jackson who was second, but for how much longer, because there's an attack coming there from the car of Paul Simpson it is, yes, that started third on the grid, and he has gone through on the exit of the old hairpin.
Yeah, that's right. Expect to see new people near the front. Grant Jackson so much further up the order, and we've seen him in the past. Okay, he's just lost a position as a big slide from the car that just passed him. Paul Simpson is getting a move on. I think a new car to him, this Cayman. But then we've got some of the Boxsters running Class 2. Andrew Juice, the fastest of them in qualifying this morning, but the 944, isn't it, that Jamie McHugh's in today, not that was listed in qualifying. 25, Jamie McHugh, the front engine car, has come up behind Andrew Juice, now in 5th position with the shared car. Vincent Brewer starting there in 6th position, who I think's in his first race today. So great to see him so far up the order. And right on the back of Jamie McHugh, who won races before, this very powerful turbocharged 944 that would be a handful in these conditions, I'm sure, but he's making progress using that straight line speed to go ahead of the Class 2 leader, Andrew Juice. He might get third off of Grant Jackson as well. Yeah, he might well do here as they turn their way through Redgate corner. It's very close, but it looks like McHugh is indeed into third place now as they drop down through the Craner curves. For those of you that have looked at the programme, there are quite a few class changes from the entrance. I won't go through all of them, but quite a few drivers have been downgraded, if you like, from SP1 or SP2 into SP3, or from SP1 into SP2 as the parity weight calculations have been crunched. So that means that there have been a number of class changes. And a few cars have gained drivers as well. I think we've probably told you about most of those as we ran through the grid. So working lap 2 of this race, it was Allen, who was already leading by 3.8 seconds at the end of the opening lap. Paul Simpson was then 2 seconds clear of the now third place man, and that's Jamie McHugh, because he's already made up 2 places on this lap. He's taken over the lead of the class that he is in as well, SP2. Although I kind of wonder, Jamie McHugh would be in Class 1 usually in that 944, so there might be further changes when we perhaps get to the result sheets. Yes, yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on that. He's there in the number 25 car, of course. Yeah, no, he has switched from SP1 to SP2. That was a change in the programme, so that's a conscious decision to change that in that direction. Just looking down my notes from earlier on. It's interesting, because it's not the class it was in last year. Anyway, great to have Tim Bates out there. We just saw him in the 1979 3.5 litre 911 RS. Really great to have some of these older 911s finding a place to race with the Carmel Porsche Trophy. Got a lot of front engine cars heading towards us now, including Daniel Crago in his 968 Club Sport, his second in Class 3 at this stage. But off the road just behind him, the Carey's car. Nick Carey, I think, wasn't it, at the start? The 1993 968 3-litre car, but that should be able to recover. Yeah, and I think it's Nick and his son, I think, James, that are sharing that car, if I remember rightly. Yes, James, the university student, 21 years of age. We'll see him then a bit later on. See Le Mans liveries car there of the Bridgman Williams duo. It's Theo that was, I think, going solo now, isn't it? A 27-year-old. Yeah. From Suffolk. Oh, and a move being made there by number 91, which is Felix Archer, isn't it? In this race, it was shown with Stephen, who we heard from earlier on. So Felix, the cousin of Angus Archer, who sadly passed away last month. We saw about driving Angus's car at lunchtime on slicks in the wet, which was a brave thing to do. He's going well now, though, isn't he? He is. Progressing well up the order. Inside the top 15. Certainly is, and we've got almost 40 cars on the grid today, which is absolutely fantastic effort from everyone behind the Carmel Porsche Trophy. Philip Waters, the
one of the prime movers there, encouraging all of these cars out onto the grid. Nice little Boxster battle going on here, isn't there, as they turn their way through. This is for 8th, 9th and 10th line. Charters, Baz Darcy and William Kirkland are all in the mix in that particular battle. And it looks like it's Darcy that's moved to the head of that group now. The 3 Boxsters then for 8th, 9th and 10th and 4th, 5th and 6th in their class, heading down the Craner curves once again. And I think Andy was right, conditions are brightening a bit, aren't they? And it's certainly not as wet as it was earlier on.
I don't think the rain's totally stopped, but it's not as hard as it was earlier. Andy should know, he's out there. And Peter Dilnock's up to 25th. He had to start from the pit lane, so he's progressing and should have a strong pace in his 996 model 911. But it's a good Boxster battle that continues here, heading up towards Coppice Corner. Warren Allen still leads, by the way, by about 5 seconds from Paul Simpson, who's going well, and then Jamie McHugh in 3rd. This is the battle for 4th. Grant Jackson, he is in that position at the moment, the driver from Kent, who way back in 1980 raced in the Motor Racing Stables series at Brands Hatch, but then had a long time off before returning to racing just last year.
A nice move made there by Tim Bates to get up into 6th position in the more historic car. He's going to go 5th here, isn't he? He's past Andrew Juice as well, AD, as he goes into Coppice Corner, to Redgate Corner, wrong end of the circuit. So Tim Bates going really well now in that 1979 car, ex-motocross competitor. He's been racing for 18 years now as Tim, and he's making more ground towards cars that have gone well. So Grant Jackson is his next target, isn't it?
And that car that Tim Bates is in is the car that Mark Hines built for the Porsche Cup back in the 1990s. So it's that car been racing for so many years. Tim Bates has had it now for some time. And he's making further progress there. Was that a lapped car? It might be a lapped car.
71, the Andrew Dye car is a lap down, yeah.
So different experience with tricky conditions. Unsurprisingly, we're seeing lap traffic quite early on here. But Tim Bates, massively experienced competitor. Not sure we've seen him out in this series before though, so great to welcome Tim Bates out into the Calm All Porsche Trophy. And he's gaining more positions. He goes past Grant Jackson on the way down towards the Robert chicane. So that is Tim Bates inside the top 5 now. Yeah. Should be 4th position, I think. And here we go in after Jamie McHugh.
He is as well, isn't he? Best looking car on the grid as well, I reckon. So Bates goes across the line to complete his 5th lap now. Best lap of the race on that lap actually was to Wazza Allen, a 1:26.295. Bates lapping in the 29, so mid 1:29 that time.
That's only 7 seconds off the lap record that Warren Allen has done, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, given the conditions, absolutely. Very impressive indeed. In practice this morning, he did a 1:25.326, but of course the conditions have been changing throughout the day. There's the Grant Jackson car, number 93, with AD just behind it. These two in different classes, of course.
2010 987 shaped Cayman, that for Grant Jackson. He has raced that car with Gary Stanford, but he's a solo today. And he's just ahead of Andrew Juice, the Class 2 driver. The driver from Berkshire made his racing debut a couple of years ago in the car that previously raced by Charles Clark, the now a GT3 racer, in the Porsche Club Championship a few years ago. One car's had an off at Coppice. Is that a lapped car, are we thinking?
Well, I think probably yes. Couldn't quite tell. There it is, that sort of silver and yellow car. But it's the number 1 car, isn't it? Paul Hicks, the 60-year-old from Woburn Sands, retired in his 5th season of racing in that 2006 car, which is run by himself and Gary Campbell. Brought as a track car, this one, back in 2021.
6 seconds is the gap. Come down a little bit between the top 2, Warren Allen and Paul Simpson, who's in 2nd. This is the battle amongst to be the best of the Boxsters. Andrew Juice still just ahead of Vincent Brewer. There's our race leader, Warren Allen, in that Cayman. For some reason he keeps the novice cross on the back. He's certainly not a novice. He's raced several seasons now and won many races in this series. He's just about to put a lap on Mike Reynolds there on the way up towards McLean's.
Black and white driving standards flag has gone out to car 10 for repeatedly exceeding track limits, which we've not seen too much of that flag yet today, but as conditions improve, perhaps we'll see a little bit more of it.
I'm not really sure you want to be, to be quite honest.
No.
It's been caught anyway. So we had 10 minutes of the race. 6.4 seconds was the leading gap. It's going to fluctuate now as we're into the traffic, but Allen and Simpson clearly the quickest two drivers today. And there comes Paul Simpson, who I think ran in a Boxton Class 2 last year, so he stepped up to this Cayman. We're getting more and more Caymans into the series this year, it seems. And the leading gap after 7 laps has gone out back to 7.5 seconds. These two well clear of Jamie McHugh. Just lapped there Steve Lloyd. So I think it's the first time we've seen him out in this series. He's in a 9.68, which we have several of on the grid today. Ken Van Howen further up the order than we've seen him in the past. He's just about to go a lap down, though, to Warren Allen in another of the 911s on the grid.
Yeah, that's right. Drive from Banstead. So 11 minutes into this race, it's 1.65 Warren Allen leading, 88 Paul Simpson second, 25 Jamie McHugh third and leading his class, fourth number 12 Tim Bates, fifth number 93 Grant Jackson, sixth is number 8 Andrew Juice. Then it's 10, 27, 32 and 55 completing the top 10. SP3 has been led by the 211 car, which is Nick Rinillo, in 13th place overall, and SP4 by car 18, which is Chris Valentine and David Hornsey in their Porsche 924.
Little bit of clear track now for Warren Allen. A couple of cars to lap for Paul Simpson. He does one around the outside at Coppice. Some of the front engine cars still battling away here within class 3. In 17th position then is Daniel Crago, who's really been in this series since sort of the inception. Behind him is Rich Gravestock, who's out there in a 968. And then behind the pair of them is Theo Quidman-Williams, the 27-year-old from Suffolk, who's also racing the Classic Sports Car Club and racing the Fiesta Championship as well when he started. He's in a Porsche 944 Series 2 with a 3-litre inline-4 engine and the car prepared by the family team, BBW Motorsport, and it looks really good, doesn't it, in the 1980s Le Mans livery. The livery that won Le Mans in the Porsche 956s and 962s, and was aboard front-engined Porsches in the GT class as well.
That's right, as we are 2.5 minutes away from the pit lane window opening here. Everyone needs to make a stop, whether they're going to make a driver change or not, to keep things nice and equal. It's a 60-second stop that has to be served as a minimum.
Two Club Sport 968s together here. Great battle between Daniel Crago and Rich Gravestock. A lot of the front engine cars and the historic 911s as well were built for the Porsche Cup that ran in the 1990s. It was a multiple class system, much like this really.
That's right.
In the days before the Porsche Carrera Cup was introduced, which was back in 2002, which will have their opening round of the championship here this weekend coming at Donington Park.
Yeah, but this very much sort of capturing the ethos of that multi-model Porsche Cup from the 1990s, which was so successful, part of the Best of British Motorsport package in the mid-1990s, of course, and attracted some good drivers for it that went on to achieve great things in GTs and touring cars, of course. Mike Jordan, of course, came through Porsche racing as well.
Johnny Molan famously had that season where he won every single race in the late 90s before he went on to be a Le Mans racer. But the championship, from what I remember really, was Pete Chambers versus the Jones twins, wasn't it, at the front?
Yes, they were always, to the fore, weren't they?
That's right.
Meanwhile, in this race, Warren Allen, 8.5 seconds lead over Paul Simpson, and he's picking his way through the traffic now, which is a big feature of this race because there are so many cars and sort of differing performance levels because of their different power to weight ratio. But Allen here seems to be fairly unflustered as he makes his way through the traffic. He's just got past a few of the front engine cars there.
Yeah, that's the battle of the 17th we were describing just a moment ago. So he's lapped, getting on for half the field, I guess. Maybe he has lapped half the field already, just 10 laps in. And the pit window will be open sort of next time round for the race leader should he wish to take an early stop. That's
right, yes. So we'll see what his strategy is going to be in this race. A reminder that this is the Calm All Porsche Trophy. Calm is the campaign against living miserably, which is a charity working in the men's mental health space, particularly drawing attention to the issues of male suicide, and a charity very close to the hearts of the people behind the championship. And it's great that we're able to have these Porsches racing with a calm logo on the side of the cars to raise awareness for this very important cause. And as they're doing so, they're producing some great racing as well. This battle still going on that you were describing, Josh, for about 17th place.
Yeah, second in Class 3. The class being led a bit further up the road by Nick Rignolo, who's going really well. The driver from Warwickshire in another 911, so perhaps we'll pick up on that a bit later on. A 1979 car that leads Class 3. The middle here includes Baz Darcy, the driver in 8th position in 27. He's under pressure still from William Kurtler. Two of the Boxster S cars on the grid today. They were just lapping James Harvey, who himself a supporter of charities. I understand he's running an event next month. But just ahead of him is Jamie Naylard, who is out there today in his Porsche Cayman S, a 3.4 litre car that he built a year ago. The driver from Hertfordshire, returning to the Carmel Porsche Trophy this year.
Did some hot hatch, didn't he, a couple of years ago?
Well, it was his old Mini that was in the gravel in the last race.
It was.
But good to have him out here.
Absolutely right. So the pit lane window is open. Nobody's yet taken advantage of that fact. They've only got 10 minutes in which to make their stops, I believe.
It could get pretty busy. The teams are in the garages today, so that's a helpful fact for them, I'm sure. So there's Will Kurtler in his Boxster. He's just put a lap on the Andrew Dye car, who's having his first ever race today in the 2002 Boxster S 3.2 litre that he owns and is racing with his brother Simon. I think it might have been Simon that started that. We have got cars in the pits, including 12 Tim Bates, 93 Grant Jackson, 8 Andrew Juice, 903 Ken Van Howen, and 24 Steve Lloyd, the first 5 cars to come in.
Yeah, so we're going to have to make stops pretty soon. You can see there's more and more coming in all the time now, because there's only really a window, probably 7 laps or something, where you could make the stop.
See the name Randy Look there on the side of Ken Van Howen's car. This car that was racing in the United States before it came over to the UK. I think a couple of years ago we first saw Ken take to the wheel of that car in this series, but he's looking a lot quicker, I must say, than we've seen him in the past in what are very challenging conditions today. I think he was running just outside the top 20, which is a good improvement over before. Pete Deal not starting to progress from the pit lane. He's got up into 23rd position now in his 911. We saw him out in the Armed Forces Challenge. It's 996, the model car from 1999. An Army veteran, Pete Deal not, then he's gained more positions, hasn't he? He's into the top 20 now.
So he is.
See just out of my window, just behind this group, the cars that have pitted all left in the order they came in. Bates, Jackson and Juice, pretty much as close as that.
Yeah, which is what you'd expect. It is a 60-second stop, mandatory stop. Obviously, some drivers may take a little bit longer to do a driver change or something like that, so that could shake up the order in the pit stops. But in theory, it shouldn't make too much difference. There's the 6th car, the Bridgman Williams car, still in the hands of Theo at the moment. And it's McHugh now, isn't it, that's slotting his way between them. Jamie McHugh, who has yet to make his stop in this race, still 3rd behind Allen and Simpson in the running order at the moment.
And McHugh still showing as the leader in Class 2 as he's yet to pit. Perhaps he's sort of detuned that car from last season when it ran in the top categories, just lapping some of the Class 3, Class 2 cars at the moment as they go through Coppice Corner. And there's a big squeal of tyres down at the chicane, so we'll pick up on that if a car has gone off in a moment. But McHugh just with a lap on Pete Dealnott. The car that was off may have just recovered ahead of them.
Yeah, possibly, and the number 1 car, Paul Hicks, has just disappeared into the pit lane as well. We're getting on for half of the cars have now made the stop. There's another 5.5 minutes of the pit window being open. That's the 76 car you can see on the inset. That is Jamie Naylard in his Porsche Cayman S.
Another car that's in the pit lane, Kevin Childs, is just going to vacate that car. He's going to be handing over to James Gornall, the former British Touring Car Championship racer, the 2008 British GT champion. James Gornall, you'd think, will be very rapid in that car when he takes to the wheel of car number 14 in a moment.
Yeah, as obviously the running order, obviously not quite as you'd expect with the pit stops going on. The 10 car has come in, the 27 car, the Baz Darcy car has come in now, so too as the number 81 car of Ryan Chart as well, all from inside the top 10, so they'll be dropping down the order.
Vince Brewer about to vacate car 10, his first race. That was a good first stint, wasn't it? Inside the top 6, I think, for most of it. Ben Gruoch about to take over. Problem though for Paul Simpson on the previous lap. He had a slow lap, and that's allowed Jamie McHugh to close in for second place, and that means Warren Allen has a much larger lead now, something like 25 seconds, and he's just at the fastest lap of the race again, 1 minute 25.806.
Well, problems there for the number 10 car. Looks like Brewer's been called back.
I don't know what they can see because the windscreen is absolutely steamed up, and actually making these pit stops may make that situation worse still.
Yeah, it's probably not going to improve matters, is it? I wouldn't have thought.
Porsche sent to a Bournemouth car in the pit lane at the moment.
You can see more and more cars piling in, probably 80% of them have now come in. Walter Allen yet to make his stop, Jamie McHugh yet to make his, but all of the other front runners now have really, in this sort of frantic middle 10 minutes of the race.
Here's our leader of Class 4, certainly earlier on, Chris Valentine and David Hornsey, just ahead of 24-18. Chris Valentine, who started racing back in 2012. He was the runner-up in the Porsche 924 Championship back in 2019.
And he's still leading Class SP4 as well in 34th position overall as well. Hugh Pert is second within that class in the number 36 car. Leader Walter Allen has just completed his 15th lap already, 5 laps ahead of some of the cars out there, maybe 4 laps, but quite a bit of lappery having gone on during the course of this race. So far, more than halfway through it, less than 18 minutes to go of this 40-minute encounter now for the Farmall Porsche Trophy.
Dare we say it quietly though, all 36 cars that started are still running.
Yes, hope you're not tempting fate there, Josh. The 11 car just heading out of the pit lane is Dominic McGee, now taking over from Chris Walton's fault. The car for the first part of the race.
Just saw Stephen Archer getting into car 91, who we had a chat with at lunchtime. That car, as he mentioned, in remembrance of Angus Archer, who sadly passed away last month. So Tim Bates has just gone through shot there. He's still ahead of Grant Jackson by about 3 seconds. But Jamie McHugh, who they weren't that far behind, still yet to make his pit stop, and he has to do it pretty soon, probably actually at the end of this lap.
Yeah,
will be his last opportunity. He's 31 seconds behind Warren Allen now, but leading Class 2. So his real rival, Andrew Deuce, has just set his personal best, the car that pitted earlier, 1 minute 28.218, which is quicker than McHugh was on that time.
Yeah.
So that could be a close battle once the final pit stops are done for Jamie McHugh. Warren Allen has just peeled in, the overall leader.
Yeah, he's still got the best lap of the race, hasn't he, Allen? A 125.806. Sort of the next best times in the 127s, I think. I think those are probably the next best times that we can see.
The Class 3 leader has also come into the pits, Rick Grignolo, the driver from Warwickshire. His 1979 Porsche. I haven't yet seen that one, but that one leads Class 3. There's Warren Allen, the Tonkai leader. There's the 911 that leads Class 3 just behind. So another real retro 1970s 911, which we haven't seen in this series before, and then we've got multiple of them out there today.
Oh, it's so good to have them as well, isn't it? They look absolutely fantastic and bring to mind those sort of late 80s, early 90s Porsche Cup races, when you're seeing several of those on the grid amongst the front engine cars as well. So Walter Allen here serving his mandatory pit stop before he goes back out into the race. I imagine he'd be able to pick up the lead here. Jamie McHugh has come in as well now with 25 seconds or so of the pit window remaining, so he's now made his stop.
Paul Simpson, who was second earlier, has dropped behind Tim Bates, Grant Jackson and Andrew Juice. So a slower pit stop presumably for Paul Simpson means he's going to drop off the overall podium.
And Stephen Atkinson is in danger of not making his pit stop in time because we're now 15 minutes away from the end. Pit window is closed and he's the only driver. Oh, he's just got in. Just
3 seconds late.
Yes, oh, that's unfortunate. So he may well pick up a penalty for that unless people are feeling particularly accommodating to him. He's third on the timing scale, drop back down as a result of that. Here's Wazza Allen then, he's going to be our race leader, we think, once all is settled down after the pit stops.
So the interesting thing is Tim Bates, who I think just crossed the line now, he passes Jamie McHugh just out of our window. So Tim Bates is up to second. Jamie McHugh will still be leading his class, but he's dropping down the order. Presumably he's still leading his class because Andrew Juice was only 6 seconds behind him. So we'll look out for cars 25 and 8 for the FP2 lead. That should be pretty tight in these final 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely right. So one of the cars just heading out of the pit lane there is the 12 car then. That is Tim Bates, who's assumed second position and effectively through the pit stops, but it'd be interesting to see if Jamie McHugh, there he is, not too far behind, is he? If he's going to be able to try and catch him in these final moments of the race.
He had Grant Jackson just behind him, and then Andrew Juice was pretty close to the back of him as Tim Bates is sliding around that 1979 911.
And not exactly not sliding around was the car chasing McHugh there as well. So conditions are still tricky. I mean, the sun is trying to break through. I think the rain may have just... no, I don't think it's quite stopped yet, has it? The wipers are still on. But it's certainly improved a lot from what it was an hour or so ago here at Donington Park. But Bates there in that car that's in second place, the 911, looking absolutely resplendent as it turns its way out of the Robert chicane and towards the end of another lap. He's 39 seconds behind Wazza Allen. More importantly, possibly, is 1.9 seconds clear of Jamie McHugh as the car of Simpson now in sixth place. It's just in the best lap of the race, a 1:25.597, and he is about 2 seconds, I should say, behind the car of AD, Andrew Juice ahead of him, and that would be for not for class position. There's a problem for 71 there. That is Simon Dyers, it will now be, that's had a spin, I think, coming out of Roberts.
Yes, and he will eventually be able to rejoin safely. But the battle for second, very much on then. Bates, McHugh, Jackson, Juice and Simpson only separated by 6 seconds. So take Warren Allen out of the picture, and it's a very close race indeed up front. Paul Simpson, remember, had that slower stop, but did have similar pace to Warren Allen in the early stages, so it's not a total surprise that he's been able to set the fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, we see out there Ferdinando Gattino in his Boxster, driver who started racing back in 2003 from Hertfordshire. And in all of this, we've got the 72, the Ashgood Porsche of Mike Kurtler. And he exits the Robert chicane to complete another lap.
Mark Horton has taken over that car now. Mike Kurtler starting that one.
Just behind this group, so about to lap this big group, is the battle of a second position, which Tim Bates is still ahead of, and all that group just set their personal best, including the fastest lap for Paul Simpson to go fifth at 1:24.781 impressively now. 78's had a spin, that's Rich Gravestock in the 968. He's going to get back into the race though, but yes, that battle for second is probably what we want to try and focus on. The gap from second to third came down a smidge in that time, about a couple of tenths, 1.7 seconds. Whether Paul Simpson can pass them all. He's already passed Andrew Juice, and he certainly has the pace to pass them all in that Cayman of his.
I would have thought so. That's the number 88 car, so we'll try and pick up this group of cars shortly that are battling for second place, and then Paul Simpson, as we said, in fifth position is the one to watch.
Here they are. There's McHugh in third. Is it still Jackson behind him? I think it is. And then Paul Simpson next up as they climb the hill up towards Coppice with huge amounts of traffic that Tim Bates has begun on, but he's being caught by Jamie McHugh, isn't he? McHugh much closer to Bates than he was at the start of the lap.
The whole thing is compressing, isn't it? Second, third, fourth and fifth. Andrew Juice try to go with them as well. This not for position, this Tim Bates getting past the Jamie Naylord number 76 Porsche Cayman. Remember, that's a lap down.
Behind Grant Jackson, gone down the inside of Jamie McHugh, got a bit blocked in the traffic. There just wasn't the space with 3 cars going abreast ahead of him. So has McHugh lost out here? No, I think he held on. He's still ahead of Grant Jackson and ahead of Paul Simpson too.
Yeah, but those are right together.
Big spin in front of Bates, into the gravel.
Yeah, that's a slower car, is it?
Yeah.
So pick up who that is. It's the 72 car of Mark Horton. Mark Horton, that car out of the race in a pretty prone position on the gravel track with less than 10 minutes of the race left to go. Car 55, a 60-second time penalty for making its pit stop outside the window, as we thought, by about 3 seconds. That's the Stephen Atkinson number 55 car.
It also has a short pit stop penalty of 30.6 seconds as well.
You might as well at that point.
Clayton Sampson is also getting a penalty, 32.6 seconds for a short pit stop. So a couple have gone under the time, so it'll be 30 seconds plus the time short. I don't think either of those are in sort of significant positions within their class, are they?
I don't think so.
Clayton Sampson has been successful before, but only 6th today in Class 3.
Now there you've got Simpson getting right together with Jackson up to Coppice Corner then for 4th and 5th positions overall, and 3rd and 4th positions within the SP1 class. Tim Bates is still 2nd, still ahead of Jamie McHugh, I think, as they come down to Roberts once more. Yeah, McHugh got a slower car between himself and Bates here, but I think the real point of interest then is what's going to happen between Jackson and Simpson, and whether Simpson can get past both of them. It looks like we have had a change, have we? I think Simpson is now ahead of Jackson. Yes, he is, as they come up to Redgate Corner for the 21st time.
126 has gone around, which is the Yilmaz shared car.
Melin Yilmaz, I think, for the 2nd car in the race. And the snatch vehicle is out on the circuit at Redgate Corner, pulling the number 72 car out of the gravel track.
That's right, so the rest of the track is clear, so therefore they can race around the rest of the course. There's Jamie McHugh then, he started the lap 1.5 seconds ahead of Paul Simpson. But Simpson has the pace on the 944 turbo car there of McHugh, the 2.5 litre machine that's got a new engine in now, the Augment Automotive engine. Maybe that's why it's dropped down a class from where we've seen it before. McHugh
has closed upon Bates here. He was 2.6 seconds behind at the start of the lap, but they're right together now as they climb up towards Coppice Corner, passing another of the older 911s as they go. But the gap has gone out to Paul Simpson, it would seem. So he's lost a bit of ground, relatively speaking, to Bates and McHugh. Here they come, down out of Coppice Corner, down to Roberts once again. McHugh is trying to get alongside under braking, is he, for the chicane? Of course, the slower cars ahead. And that is Simpson. Is that Simpson with them?
I think it must be.
It is. He's getting alongside in actual fact. I beg your pardon. This is the 88 car. The 88 in an unusual position on the car, which is why I couldn't spot the number. But he's gone past McHugh. Is he going to get past Bates as well? He's having a look, but I don't think he's quite going to do that as they get into Redgate Corner, is he?
I think he's lost one of the 8s, hasn't he, on his windscreen?
That's the confusing thing. Oh, that was interesting. You can see green lights there at Hollywood. So where were the yellow lighting panels, I wonder, in relation to that manoeuvre made by the number 88 car, or the 80 it says on the front of the car, of Paul Simpson, who's now right with Tim Bates for 2nd place.
Yeah, there's still more and more traffic. It's a super busy circuit today. It's great to see. And around the outside of James Harvey they go and head up towards McLean's for what will be the 22nd time in this race for the leading group. And Bates dives up the inside of 56, Tom McHugh's car, which I think is also listed as a Boxster and clearly isn't. And up towards Coppice they go. They squeeze up the inside of one of the rear engine cars there. And it still worked the same order. Tim Bates ahead from Paul Simpson in 3rd, then Jamie McHugh is 4th as they head down and had one of the 94s go off on the inset. But I think for McHugh, he's fighting back here on the inside of Paul Simpson. Was there a touch between the two of them? They were almightily close as they met the apex of the right-handed element of the corner. And are they still behind Tim Bates? Yes, they are, and they're side by side.
Up towards Redgate Corner then for the 23rd time. It's McHugh on the outside of the circuit. It's Simpson on the inside line in the number 88 car, and it's Simpson that holds on there. The Porsche Cayman for the man from Tunbridge Wells squeezes ahead. They've got a slower car ahead of them, and they've allowed Tim Bates to get away a little bit. They're going to pass that back mark, or at least Paul Simpson is. Is that the Gravestock car that they're passing? I think it is. Big
slide from Simpson. Yeah, we held on to it, didn't he? We said James Gornall might be quick. He's in class 3, and he has just set the fastest lap in that class by 4 seconds. But he's well down the order. He's many laps down, so he's not going to feature in the overall or in the class podiums even. But James Gornall, he doesn't race much nowadays. He'll prove it. He's very quick.
Chicky, as he's known. Showing that he's still got the pace. 4.5 minutes of the race left to go. Another car in the gravel trap at Hollywood, just beneath the grandstand there.
Simpson was massively sideways on the main shot there, Ian, out of Coppice, and he's lost a lot of momentum, so much so a back marker's always passing him, and that means Jamie McHugh is back on terms with Paul Simpson, who was hugely sideways out of Coppice Corner.
4.25 minutes to go. They're probably going to get
and again.
4 laps. Yeah, again. Out of this, they are just looking at the gap between Bates and Simpson. It's 4.5 seconds at the moment, Bates to Simpson. So they really need to try and do something to close this gap. Another car off through the gravel trap as the race comes towards an end and the conditions change. Maybe drivers perhaps getting a little overconfident. Maybe tyres going off, perhaps.
It's drying out. Like you said earlier, that's perhaps more slippery than what it was earlier. But I'm not really sure what's happened to Paul Simpson, because he had all that pace, and now the car just doesn't want to go in a straight line at all. But he's hanging on to 3rd spot here.
Yeah, he's done a 1:24.781. The last lap was a 1:30.191, so he's 5.5 seconds slower than he has been. Obviously, traffic part of that, but also the car just not behaving as he would like, I don't think. Into the pits has come number 27, that's Baz Darcy.
He was in the top 10.
Yeah, and that is to retire, one would think. The driver from SP2 was 6th in SP2.
The car that he was battling with, the Brewer and Grucop car, has got a 5-second penalty for track limit, would you believe?
Yes, I would actually. Quite a few times that car has contravened. It was also the car that was steaming up, wasn't it? Quite badly. So maybe they can't see where the track limits are, but I'm not sure that's a defence that will work towards the clerk of the course from Ben Grucop.
Looks like Paul Simpson is catching Tim Bates again. Yes, that gap, was it 4 seconds you said? But it's come right down now to 0.4 of a second out of the Robert chicane with a couple or 3 laps to go.
Just looking at the lap, we get back into the 1:26s that time, and it was a slow lap for Bates in the 1:30s. So lap times do fluctuate quite a lot. It's just, well, this isn't decided on a performance index. The calculator would blow up, I think, if they try to work that out for this race, as they do in the Armed Forces Race Challenge. 2.5 to go, and there's still a chance here that Simpson could get on to P2 here. Wazza Allen is now a minute ahead of the rest. I mean, that's it's more than 2/3 of a lap ahead of anybody else in that number 165 Mighty Cayman for the driver from Oxford, 3.4 litre car.
To be fair, Tim Bates' car's about 30 years older.
Yes, and he's doing a heroic job with it, isn't he, to hold on to second position from another more modern car. We've got car 20 in the pits. That's a car that's
27,
overheating. 27, yes, I think that was overheating Baz Darcy's car. An overheating issue for him, we are hearing.
So about a second carries on. They are going to get 2 more laps, aren't they? Because Warren Allen's already started another one. So lap 26 he has begun. As they go past the Donington Park buildings on the left. Jamie McHugh's dropped away now that Paul Simpson's picked his pace up again. And a big spin for Peter Dillon. That must have started at the Crane of Curves, and it's ended on the exit of the old hairpin. So that must have been a scary ride for the 911, the much more modern car that was in 14th position.
It was very scary, I should think, and a relief that no one collected him as he rejoined the circuit.
PB there for Tim Bates as he keeps Paul Simpson at bay at 1:25.8. So Bates now is within half a second of Warren Allen's best lap, so he's really flying along in that 1970s Porsche 911, but not going quicker than Paul Simpson. So Simpson is still pressurising him for the last lap and a half or so now.
Yeah, it's quite tight as well, whether this is going to be the last lap or not for Wazza Allen as well, just looking at when he started the lap. Oh, and off the circuit has gone the car that we've been talking about, Paul Simpson, and now it spins on the wet grass. Oh my word, and others having to take avoiding action. So that means it's going to be Tim Bates at second, Jamie McHugh's back up into third position and leading his class, and all that hard work for Paul Simpson has come undone.
That's right, we thought the car looked pretty sketchy at times, didn't it? And it's gone all wrong now. We just saw Andrew Deuce, who's still the best boxer out there by some distance. He's a minute ahead of the, oh dear, Paul Simpson's recovery has ended badly.
Yes, it's taken Andrew Deuce out and also the 55 car as well of Stephen Atkinson. Well, that's salt into the wound of his penalties as well, isn't it? Didn't quite see how all of that unfolded, but on the last lap of the race, it's all gone a little bit Pete Tong. Allen, meanwhile, is yet to come through because he's on his way down now towards the Robert chicane. It'll be the checkered flag this time. The clock has counted down to 0. Red flag, in fact, before we can get to the checkered flag with that situation that has unfolded. So red flag and checkered flag it is for Wazza Allen then, who wins the first Carmel Porsche Trophy race of the year. Congratulations to him. He won that by about 2/3 of a lap from everybody else as well, but a red flag flying because of the quite significant incident that has occurred on the exit of McLean's, Josh, and you can see the medical car, the white car with the blue flashing lights heading along the pit straight now, heading to the scene. The marshals will already be on their way, and no doubt the rescue vehicles too. So drivers being sent straight down the pit lane with the red flag, just bringing a very slightly premature end to that race.
A real shame, because there hadn't really been any incidents before that. But at one point we mentioned that everyone was still running. I think did we only lost that Baz Darcy car, I think, to the pit lane?
I think we had, yeah,
so
at that point.
Everybody else was still out there, and it was obviously a sort of a culmination of problems for Paul Simpson that started through the kink at Starkey's on the way up towards McLean's, and we can see at least one of the drivers is out of their car there, but obviously it was when Paul Simpson was rejoining, something has gone adrift involving Stephen Atkinson as well, I'm afraid. But it was really good before that, wasn't it? We had some great battles. OK, Warren Allen was a long way ahead of the rest, but there were some great battles through the field, and we were just enjoying some of the cars as well on the grid there. We could be seeing some cars we hadn't seen in the series before, and hopefully we'll see them again, because that was a great way to start the Calm All Porsche Trophy season. I think they'll be out with 750 Motor Club a majority of their other rounds as well over the course of the season. I
think the next one is actually on the Brands Grand Prix circuit on a shared grid with another category, if I remember rightly.
Not quite sure how that's going to work, because there's a big enough grid alone here.
Absolutely, right. TSL have been sort of shuffling the numbers on our time screen, so I think we'll be able to bring you the results of that race reasonably shortly. We'll just pause for a moment, and yeah, in fact we can give those to you now. So it was a win then for number 165 Warren Allen, who completed 25 laps in 37 3/4 minutes as we go back a lap or two. Second place there was number 12 Tim Bates. Now third on the screen is Paul Simpson, but he'll be taken out of that classification because he was not running at the time of the red flag. So that will promote number 25, Jamie McHugh, up to third place. He also wins the SP2 class. Fourth will be number 93, Grant Jackson. Fifth, number 8. No, it won't be Andrew 8, Andrew Juice. No, I think he did get going again, didn't he? So Andrew Juice will be there. Sixth with 32, William Kurtler. Seventh will be number 81, Ryan Charters. Eighth will be number 10, the Brewer and Brewcock car. And then ninth will be Nick Rinaldo in his SP3 911 SC, winning his class. Ahead of in 10th place, 55 Stephen Atkinson. He won't be there because he was also involved in that incident. So 10th will be the Archers, Felix and Stephen Archer. So top 10 for them on the day where Angus Archer's life is being remembered. Then it's Carlin Palmer and Peter Dillnott, who's had an eventful day, in 12th place. That will be 14th on the screen there. And then you can see the rest of the field. Now, not all of these, I don't think, have made it to the checkered flag. We had various cars off in the gravel trap towards the end of it, so we'll see which of these are classified and which are not. You can see Fernando Gattino, 17th, for example. James Harvey, he started at the back, came through to 18th position in the end. And I think if we look at the next screen, that's where we'll find our SP4 class winner, and that was Chris Valentine and his teammate David Hornsey beating Hugh Pert in the Porsche 924 battle for supremacy. So Carmel Porsche next out at Brands Hatch in a few weeks' time. We've got 5 more races to go this afternoon here at Donington Park. All sprint races from here, 15 and 20 minute races. Coming up next, we've got the Race Parts Historic 750 Formula Series. Then it's the Mighty Mini Championship, the Yokohama Low Costs, the PBS Brakes Hot Hatch Championship, and the Armed Forces Race Challenge to round out a busy day's racing here at Donington Park, which is now in the sunshine. I think the rain has just about stopped and the sun is trying to break through. Conditions, as we're forecast, improving as the day goes on here at Donington, and whether it's going to get dry enough for records in hot hatches, we were hearing speculated upon earlier on. Well, that does remain to be seen, doesn't it? I suspect it might not quite get dry enough for that, but we'll see. So, Carmel Porsche Trophy coming to an end. We'll hear shortly from Andy McEwen with our class winners at the end of that race. He's down in the pit lane now, so let's go and hear from him.
So we have our class winners assembled down at the end of the pit lane. Dare I say it, the sun is definitely now starting to poke through the clouds. It's actually got noticeably warmer down here over the last 10 minutes or so. That's good news. We're happy about that. Warren Allen, I suspect, is happy about his race win. There he is. Lost sight of you then, Warren. Congratulations, overall race win, class race win as well. Pretty perfect performance, that would you say?
Yeah, I had a really good race. I do like Donington, especially in the wet. I drive the wrong line and it seems to work. So, yeah, all good.
Is that the wrong line in the dry or the wrong line for the wet?
The wrong line in the dry, the right line in the wet. But I don't think I hit an apex at all today. It was just offline everywhere.
Well, you've clearly got it sussed, haven't you? The car looked and sounded magnificent. Tell us a bit about the car. How long have you been pedalling this?
I've raced this car for seven years now. I haven't done a great deal of changes since I first made it a race car, but I just put a second-hand engine in it last year, and it seems to be going really well. So, other than that, nothing's changed for a long time. So.
Certainly sounds like it's on song, that's for sure. Were there any major dramas in that race? Obviously, it's never quite as plain sailing as it might look.
I did almost go off on at the top corner, the top right-hand corner. Other than that, everything was pretty good. I try and get through the traffic as quick as I can. There was a big accident on the last lap there, so I hope those guys are okay. A big thank you to all my team over here, Vince, Danny, Charlie, my mum, Nick, Megan, and the 2 guys there on the end. Say hi, guys. That's my team. So, yeah, good day. And it's just stopped raining. There was a dry line just coming, but yeah, it is what it is. Had a good race.
Certainly went well for you. Congratulations on the race win then. Warren Allen, our victor in SP1 and overall. It was Jamie McHugh who was the winner in SP2 and a top 5 finish overall, Jamie, as well. Satisfied with that?
Yeah, happy with that. Yeah, it was really greasy, so like trying to get used to the circuits, it was drying out a bit. But yeah, sideways a few times, so yeah, glad to bring it back in one piece, to be honest.
We've sort of transitioned now out of a full wet racetrack, haven't we, into that kind of damp, greasy circuit. Is it difficult to pick your lines and know where you're supposed to be running?
Well, I think the most difficult bit is when you're trying to overtake the slower cars. So you're having to go up the inside, heavy on the brakes, then you're offline onto the wetter line, and then trying to get it back without losing control. So yeah, it was hard work, but good race.
Are you out for a few more of these later on in the season?
Yeah, I'm going to do all the calm races, so it's a good series and yeah, hopefully good season.
Nicely done. Well, congratulations. 4th place overall and a victory in Class SP2. Nick and Chris, let's get you... Nick and Chris, where are they? No, it's just Nick, isn't it? Beg your pardon. I was paying attention in that race, I promise I was. Nick, well done. Class victory. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, we had a bit of a clear air at the start. The kind of pack moved away from the mid-pack, and yeah, it was done then really. But the 55 car who was leading the class, he had obviously had the accident. Otherwise, I would have been second. I saw him just at the end and thought that was a bit lucky really. But tricky conditions, isn't it? So there you go, all good.
Same for all of you though, and those that do survive to the end have done something right, I suppose. And everyone else has been saying it's all about exploration and figuring out the lines that you need to be running. Some drivers enjoy that. Are you one of those?
Yeah, once the dry line comes, it becomes tricky, doesn't it? Because you've got to try and, through the traffic, navigate your way Yeah, it was very, very busy at the end, and yeah, my lap times just dissipated. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, not kept it clean really, so pleased.
Well done, Nick. Congratulations. SP3 victor, Nick Ranillo. Chris and David is what I meant to say, who were the SP4 victors. Couldn't read my own handwriting there. I believe you were in first, were you? Yes. Chris was in first to start there. Did all the hard work. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd take that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a fantastic free practice session this morning because I hadn't raced for a couple of years. So this was my first time in a race car, well, in nearly 2.5 years. So that was fantastic. It was quite dry, and then didn't really do very well in qualifying. Lap times were terrible. But then in the race, you know, bit more wet, and then it started drying out. And we got a bit of a dry line, and I probably about a good 8 seconds quicker than qualifying. So can't say fairer than that, to be honest.
Funny, isn't it, though? All that experience sort of comes flooding back as soon as those red lights go out.
Absolutely, yeah. It was like I'd never been away from it.
And then obviously you took over after the pit stops. First of all, a few teams were having issues in the pit lane. How much practice are you able to put into executing those pit stops and crucially making sure they're within the right amount of time?
We were okay with the time to do what we needed to do, change the drivers, but Chris had come in a lap early because he couldn't see anything out the screen. So there was a bit of a frantic moment of cleaning the screen up before I went out, but after that it was all good.
And apart from that, the car was running well towards the end?
Yeah, mega. Yeah, team did a beautiful job on the car. It's just a lovely thing to drive around there. They haven't got a lot of power, but they've got very little weight, so you can just carry speed through the corners, and they're beautifully balanced. They're great fun to drive.
It's become an iconic car, this car on the grid. It's certainly one of the more distinctively liveried. We may have covered this before, but explain to us a little bit about the livery and the, well, however many hundreds of pictures there are on it.
Well, that would be more a Chris question than me.
Go on.
It's a mix of family and friends, but there's a few celebrities. If you go around, you'll find a few Le Mans winners and F1 stars from years gone by. But yeah, it tells a little story.
And I'm sure lots of the sponsors as well chipping in, but this is literally just your homage to those who have supported you, not just financially, I suppose, over the years, but just been there for a bit of moral support as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much a family-run championship. Well, I shouldn't call it a championship. Series, sorry. Series this is. So, yeah, it's just thanks to everyone. Everyone chips in.
Excellent stuff. Well, it's great to have the car on the grid. Great to see it winning in its class as well. Congratulations, guys.